Today I welcome Andrei on the show, so thanks for accepting my invitation.
Hi, thank you, Martin, for hosting.
No problem. So if you will present yourself in 2, 3 minutes, how you will do that, like talking about your past and your entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, so I'm an indie hacker. I started building websites when I was 14, back in high school. Built, WordPress websites, learned how to code, learned HTML and CSS. Then started a small web development agency after university, where I learned PHP and databases and so on. That failed. That was my first startup. After that, I got jobs in marketing and product while still doing side hustles. And I did a bunch of things. I did everything from affiliates to WordPress blogs and a bunch of other stuff, e-commerce as well. I did try to do $1 million homepage for crypto at
Mhm.
one point. Yeah, and then I got into AI when the stable diffusion boom happened. Initially with an aggregator about stable diffusion, and then I noticed that a lot of products were actually not image products; they were text based. So I started as an AI for that.
Okay, great. Thanks for this intro. So I will come back on certain things you did. So you say you started by indie hacker, like while you were in high school and like doing some WordPress.
Yeah,
So
before the term indie hacker was coined, actually.
yeah. I think it was the same for me. Like I didn't knew that was existing, but I was doing it. And you said something that interests me. Like you started a web agency, and you say you failed.
Yeah.
What was the fail in this?
Uh, Many things actually. I got everything wrong. It was my first business. So I initially went in with a business partner. Then turns out the business partner didn't want to put in half of the money, so it was just me. Then I only had one developer, and the developer left after a while. So I had to. That's when I had to learn code because I had like ongoing projects and I had to deliver.
Oh wow.
But yeah. Also, it was targeted to. I actually came back from London. I studied in London. I came back in Romania to start the web development agency for Romanian customers, and this was the number one mistake because Romanian customers didn't have money to develop websites. I should have targeted any other like Western country. So yeah, many reasons, but it was an important learning step.
Yeah, I believe so. Like every fail, it's a big learning in many aspects. I'm wondering, like, did you choose to close this agency, or you really had something that
Oh
forced you to
yeah,
close it?
no. I closed it because I ran out of money. Actually, the it's funny the how I got to. It was an investment of 18,000 euros,
Oh
and
wow.
I set that aside over 3 years by having periods of around 6 months at a time where I lived on £1 a day, and I literally stacked the money.
Yeah.
And after 3 years, I had about 18,000 euros, and I decided to start the stages because I was passionate with building websites and stuff like that.
Okay. Why did you wanted to have so much money? It was to pay yourself while you making it, or?
Uh, no, to pay other people. I wasn't paying myself.
Okay. Oh wow. So you didn't pay yourself, yes.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
That came later
I
in the journey of
Yeah, yeah.
entrepreneur. We pay ourselves last. Yeah. I'm seeing back my note and I'm seeing, oh, bad, I wrote what you said. That's very funny. I was typing super fast. Um, okay, so there's something interesting. Like you say, like you got your first job in kind of marketing, so you didn't went for coding. Why you didn't went that way?
Well, because I studied marketing. Actually, I studied foreign languages before I studied marketing. Then I went on to study marketing,
Okay.
and that's what I like. I like both languages and marketing quite a lot. And it was so back in the days when I started. Just to remind you a little bit, it was so the way SEO looked. For example, is one thing. We had page rank, so you had the page rank toolbar, and you could actually see your page rank and everyone else's page rank, and you could learn how to improve it. There was like link exchanges. Yeah, so a completely different paradigm, but it was very interesting, so I kind of stumbled upon coding when I needed it, when I needed to do something. That's when I learned. For example, I learned databases because I was trying to do cold outreach, and I
Yeah.
needed a place to store the contacts that I contacted. So that's how I learned SQLite. And yeah, in the beginning it was a mess. I don't want to open those old projects, but yeah, I didn't know what I
No,
was
no
doing.
one's
But
wants.
that's how you learn.
Yes, definitely. But you know, the even if you started your journey or you're like studying as a developer, your first project are shit as fuck. When I look back, I'm like, oh my God, why I did that?
Yeah,
That's
I remember
terrible.
like I had a page where I was basically making multiple queries, and I was wondering why it takes like 20 seconds to load. I couldn't understand why. Yeah,
But what I love the most is when you look back at your project and your code and you're like, oh, I made like this and this, this size of the code for something. Now I know how to do it like that, like because
yeah, yeah.
you're smarter in the approach, so you don't need to have so many if.
Yeah, plus now you have APIs for everything. You can use external things. Like people use Supabase for databases. I don't do that because I like building things that scale, and I like to
Mm.
hit 100 million rows without paying I don't know, thousands of dollars or something. So I use like
Mm.
open source databases.
That's interesting. Supabase is open source, so you could host it yourself if you want. And I do
Oh, okay, I
use,
didn't know that. Yeah,
yeah,
but I
uh,
guess most people that use it don't use the open source version. Otherwise, just
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead and use
I
MySQL or
and
Postgres.
my main project, Capgo, is using Supabase, and I think it cost me like now 60 euro a month. I just
Okay,
removed the
not bad.
analytics part because the analytics part was too much. Like it was like more than billion of row, and the problem was not like the storage. It was more like the Postgre was not capable to ingest so many data by seconds. So Supabase was not the problem, neither the price. I think the price went to, I don't know, 150, 200 for this, but yeah, the problem was different. In this case, it's like they
Yeah,
don't have a good support for analytics.
the thing is, if you are actually willing to learn like the lower level stuff, you can get a lot done with like super cheap budget. For example, when I started
Yeah, for
Taft,
sure.
for the first year, I was running on a Hetzner server, bare metal, that I paid $45 a month for, and I was serving millions of visitors from a $45 server, and the server was at like 3%.
Yeah.
So you can get pretty far if you go bare metal. If you go with even MySQL, I use MySQL. Postgres is great too. You can get super far. And PHP is I use PHP. That's the
Yeah.
only backend language I know. It's super fast. So unless you're doing crazy stuff like making mistakes, you shouldn't
Yeah.
worry about speed.
For me, this is a dumb thing to worry about speed or whatever, because whatever you use, it can be slow, it can be fast. It depends like how much
Yeah,
you know what you're doing with it. And anyway, if you're building a business, your problem is getting customer and getting money, not the speed of your website.
exactly.
Like Notion was super slow for years,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
people were still using it because it was a good product. So if you do a good product, you don't need to like care about the speed until you get big enough. Like
exactly. Until you get big
me
enough
for
that 10% improvement in speed brings you actual like hard cash.
yeah, that probably never that's never happened unless you are like very very far.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
as an example, like on Capgo, I was doing the beginning the analytics in Postgres, and it was working well until I got like too many users, and I was like
Whoa,
killing
that's quite
Postgres.
a lot of users.
Because me, I don't have like I don't have a lot of clients in Capgo, but my client have a lot of users who call my API.
Oh, okay, got it.
So that's bring millions of device every day. Like I think I am at 14 to 16 million call a day now to my API. So it get
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
Yeah,
significant. Yeah. Have you
and I have
tried
only
Mixpanel?
No, I'm not using Mixpanel. I'm using Logsnag from Cheyenne, who I got in the podcast to do some
Mhm.
analytics, and I use for the front end analytics Microsoft Clarity. But
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah,
yeah.
make sure you have your terms of service uh,
Yes,
set up.
yeah. But this Clarity, I think I will disable it soon because like I don't want to have like terms of service and stuff like saying like I'm giving things to Microsoft. So I just put it to improve a bit the front end, and I will remove it. Like it was supposed to stay a month, but
Microsoft Clarity is an insane product, and the fact that it's free and has no limits, tells you something about who's the product.
it's clearly broken now in the section of pricing. You go to pricing, they say it's free because we train the IA on your website. So it's clearly
But
stated you're like training them.
yeah,
Mm.
but it's super worth it for a few things. So one of them is they have this feature called rage clicks, which
Yes,
is
yes, I
they
agree.
detect when someone repeatedly clicks anywhere on the page, and then you can go and view those events and see. It's usually something broken or something that's more or less broken in the UX
Yeah,
that makes the user stuck on something. Yeah, that's a super cool feature. And another one is you can for debugging specific issues that specific users run into, you can follow the same path that they did and see exactly where they got.
yeah, replay the
That's
session.
also amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I have a good example of the rage click thing happening where I truly didn't believe that will happen and people got frustrated. In CapGo, you can say you can send a app update to CapGo and I will distribute the app update to all your users. And this app update is linked to a channel. You have a production channel, you can have a development channel, whatever. And some users wanted to delete a bundle and they click and the UI was saying, sorry, this bundle is already linked to a channel. So first you have uh, to remove it from the channel before removing the bundle. I thought that was smart to say that. And then I replay the session and I saw the guy fucking right click, delete. It's like, just read the message, no? And so
Uh,
yeah, I changed
yeah,
that
what
now, and you have a model saying this is linked already. Do you want to unlink it first? Yes, and now no
So
right
it's
click.
usually when something goes wrong along that direction, it's usually your fault as the maker of the product instead
Yeah,
of the user's fault. Even if, like logically speaking, you're right, but you should, cater to the user more.
yeah. That's why I agree with you. This is so useful because, of course, if you believe the user is wrong, then you have a problem already. But I never
Yeah,
believe that. And so when you see that, you're like, fuck, I put a message, but no one's care about the message. You want to delete the bundle. His main action is this. So why I'm not letting him doing it? So yeah, I've changed the code last week. I push it in production and now I don't have right click anymore on that.
yeah, nice, nice. Yeah, you really notice these things, and you notice that the users don't read stuff. They don't read labels.
Yes.
They don't
Oh,
read
fuck.
text. They just, they read the UI. So that's what they read. They
Yeah,
are used to
that's,
certain patterns in the UI. They look for the patterns that they know. If they don't find them, yeah, that's when they get blocked.
yes. I had a funny case like that yesterday. I think someone contacted me on the support, where the support is basically one click away from the same place where the user wanted to do the things. And he sent me a message, can you delete my account? I don't find where he is. It's like next button, it was like profile, and then you see it in front of you. You are that close. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Sometimes this
Okay.
one I don't know how to fix it better, but yeah.
I don't want to say
Ah.
it's mostly German users, but hey.
Possibly. Possibly. Now I want to check. Fuck. Uh, okay, let's go back to your thing because that was we deviated a bit. So
Sure.
you say like when you got your first job, you started the side hustle again, like doing affiliation, e-commerce. Did you have any success on that?
Moderate success. I didn't sell. I didn't get to sell my business or anything. I just rode it until they died. I rode each project until it died. And
Okay.
yeah, they were side projects for me. So they weren't my main source of income.
What's
Also, I
moderate?
did games as well. I did anything that came to
What?
mind, you know. Yeah, I did. There's I think it's still up. It should still be up. It's
Let's see.
dinosaurgame.net. It's a multiplayer version of the Chrome offline dinosaur game where you have to
Oh,
jump.
no way.
Yeah, yeah.
You made a race? Race
Yeah,
game?
it's not a race. Or you could view it as a race. It's basically you are competing by country. I was inspired by a website called popcat.click, where you tap the screen and it just increases the score, and the scores are grouped by country, and you can see there's a leaderboard of countries. So I did basically
Oh,
I did the same thing but for a game.
okay.
And yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I can
it
see
made
it
some
now.
money. It makes like, I don't know, like $100 a month or something.
Okay, great. That was my question. And you say it was a moderate success on affiliate and e-commerce. So what is moderate for you? Like, what was it making, or did it make overall?
I think the most I made, like as a side hustle, was I had probably months when I made like 10 to 12K, but like for a few months, and that's it.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
usually,
it's
like around the average was around like between 1 and 2,000.
like a month. Yeah, it's pretty cool already for a side gig.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like vacation money.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's like, okay, let's get in vacation for my side hustles.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. Let's
cool.
build a game.
Let's
Actually,
build the game.
for the dinosaur game is actually the only one where I got an acquisition offer from a big company. I won't name the company, but it's a really big gaming company that wanted to acquire
Okay.
it, but we didn't agree on price.
And how did you make the money with the game, by the way?
Uh, Through ads,
Ah,
like
okay.
just
Okay, okay. Super. You talk about the crypto lending, the $1 million crypto. That was the same
yeah.
idea as I don't Mark. I forgot his name properly to say, but it's just a lending when people pay, and it's a ranking. Or
So it was the website is not online anymore. It was
yeah.
uh, based on the idea of the $1 million homepage, which I'm sure many people are familiar with, where you sell a pixel for $1, so
Ah,
you end up
yes,
making a
yes.
million dollars. Yeah, I basically did the same thing for crypto. So you could basically promote your coin or whatever it was, and it was a limited number of pixels that you could buy, and you could buy it
Okay.
with crypto. But it didn't. I don't know. I think I got bored with it at some point. I didn't even launch it. It made like zero.
Ah, okay. But like, why you never reached to launch? Because you were adding more and more feature, or like
I'm
along?
trying to remember exactly. I think it was I started working on it during the crypto boom of 2017 or something like that.
Mhm.
And then Bitcoin crash, I think. So that might have been it.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, I also like got bored with crypto. It's not nice. I thought it would be fun, to advertise in the crypto space and so on. But it's not. The ecosystem is not not very fun. And also the prices for advertising. I looked up a bunch of blogs where I could have promoted it and so on. They were charging like $20,000 a month for a banner. It was like
Wow.
crazy
Yeah,
prices. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
No
I,
way
I
you could
can.
make it work with like any kind of you would need like 500% conversion rate to make it work.
Doesn't make any sense. Yes, definitely. Okay. So let's go now to the project you're working on now. Can you talk a bit about it and name it? Because earlier you didn't
Yeah.
even give the name, I think.
Okay. So a little bit of backstory because the journey is actually interesting. So I'm a Reddit and Hacker News browser. I browse Reddit and Hacker News every day. I've been doing it for a long time. And at some point, Stable Diffusion was launched. And okay, that was very cool. And then for a while after Stable Diffusion was launched, every day Hacker News was full of Stable Diffusion based projects. Like everyone was building their mini project based on Stable Diffusion and launching it on Hacker News. I had never seen anything like that. in the history of Hacker News. Like a topic dominating for so long. I think it dominated for weeks, to the point where people, I think they asked the admin to stop
Oh
allowing
yeah.
someone. Yeah, because they weren't stopping. So I looked up. I initially wanted to make a list just for myself for research, and I discovered that there was one list. It was in a Reddit post. I don't have the Reddit post anymore. I think it was deleted. But anyway, there was no website. So I decided to, this time I got inspired by layoffs.fyi, which is another great website about tech layoffs.
Yeah.
It's so simple. It's just, or last time I looked into it, it was just Airtable embed. So Airtable is a spreadsheet, cloud spreadsheet, and you can embed it in a web page. So I did the same thing. I collected, I think, around 700 links to Stable Diffusion apps,
No.
put them in an Airtable, and embedded Airtable on a blank page. There was just one page, and that was it. And underneath, I think above I had something like a sign up for email updates, and below that I had submit your app. So people
Okay.
started, I launched it on, I don't even remember where, I think Reddit and a few other places. And it got decent traction, and I got a lot of submissions. So people started submitting their apps. However, they started submitting text apps instead of image apps,
Yeah.
and I couldn't publish them in the
In
spreadsheet.
the main list. Yes.
So I made another spreadsheet with the text apps, and back then it was GPT-2. So they were based on
Oh wow.
GPT-2. Yeah. That's how early it was. So I made a list of GPT-2 apps and a bunch of other like different AI tools that weren't based on GPT at all. And when I got to 700 again, I bought a bunch of domains. Like I had a period of brainstorming where I thought, let's see what the domain. I think the domain is pretty important for stuff like this. If you
Yeah.
notice that all the
For,
domains I told you, like layoffs.fyi and so on, the $1 million homepage, the domain is actually the brand. So I wanted a domain that's a brand. And I initially my first I had a bunch of ideas that I now realize would never work. One of them was machinetasks.com,
so
because I
complex.
realized, yeah, like machine learning, but
Yeah,
with
yeah,
tasks,
yeah. I see
because I
where
was
it's coming from, but
it would have never succeeded.
yeah,
I'm not sure actually. Maybe it would have.
probably more difficult. But yeah, for sure.
Definitely more difficult in terms of virality. But I had this like notion of tasks that wasn't popular at all back then. I remember I googled like AI tasks. Almost no one was talking about AI tasks. Not the way everyone is talking about them right now. So it was the first website that was really put an emphasis on tasks. Because from a consumer standpoint, you usually have a task that you want to accomplish, and you don't really care that much which AI tool is going to help you achieve that. This is my belief. Of course, there are
Yeah,
exceptions. You can build a huge brand. I mean, if I have to do some design, I'll probably use Canva. But for most tasks, I don't care. I just give me the best tool for this task. So I settled on there's an AI for that, and I launched it early December 2022, and it was just one page. It was an index.php file, and that's it. It
super
had no
simple.
pages. It had no
Yeah,
pages. You couldn't like click on an AI and go to that AI's page. No, it was a list of links, basically name, AI name, and task. That's it.
Peter
And
Level
price.
just did that 2 or 3 days ago with airline list or something like that. It was just
That's
like
great. That's
a
how you start.
table.
In fact,
Yeah.
I remember when I discovered him, because it was this guy building websites, and he was building them inside an index.php file, which is the same thing I was doing. And I was like, wow, I'm not the only one in the world. And it seemed pretty crazy to me even back then, but it really works for testing quick ideas.
Yeah.
Obviously, now the website is bigger than one page. Anyway, so I launched it, and in the first week or so, it had around 100,000 visits. So it got immediately
Wow.
popular. Yeah, right off the bat. And it wasn't even the first aggregator. There were a few other ones because I waited a long time to gather the list, to figure out what domain I'm going to use, to figure out a bunch of like strategic things. But I was, I think, the third or something like that. All the sites like Taft, I'm calling it Taft, that's like the short name.
Yeah.
All the sites that launched in 2022 are still around and are decently popular. The sites that launched after 2023 usually not that much around because right now
Yeah.
no one looks for new aggregators. I mean
Yes. Yes.
that ship has sailed. Probably it's going to be a new thing in who knows in the future. But
Yeah, or a new topic, but not an actual one. Like when one is working, it's like difficult to
yeah,
beat it.
but it's so I find it really fascinating that you can build big businesses around simple websites with not a lot of tech. You would think like for a big successful business you need to build some groundbreaking piece of technology. That's actually the hard path because then you need to educate people on why that's better. It needs
Yeah.
to be way better. It needs to be like 10 times better. It's hard to build something that's 10 times better. I don't know. It's usually easier to launch a single feature that doesn't exist yet. So you're comparing it to nothing. So it's infinitely better. uh, and
Yes.
I was fascinated by Coin Market Cap because I remember like the early days of Coin Market Cap. It was a website built in. You could tell that it was built with Bootstrap CSS framework that everybody uses. That's super easy to use and
Yeah.
so on. It was one page with Bootstrap. It was a table of coins and their market caps. That's it. That was the first major feature. You had a list of coins and their market cap, coin market cap. And then obviously it evolved. But I wanted to build the coin market cap of whatever the next big paradigm shift was going to be. So I have been thinking about this for years. What's the next thing? And I thought it would be AR because
Right.
I looked at Apple patents and a bunch of other information, and it looked like Apple was about to release something along those lines right now, basically around this time, which they did. Um, but still, I had no idea how I would design such a thing. I mean, would it be a stand-up website? Would it be something that you access within AR? But then, how do you browse the other websites that are not AR yet?
Yeah.
It was a huge problem. Then I went on. I realized that in AR there are probably bigger opportunities. Like imagine having even entertainment wise. Like imagine having a real. I mean a Pokemon next to you, like walking around with you and so on. Like, I mean for kids it's amazing and it unlocks a lot more interesting opportunities than just aggregators. But then, I got lucky with the stable diffusion thing, and I never saw it coming, and it kind of fooled me. So that's how I went into this path. And but I don't regret it. I think some of the best ideas they pull you in. I did not expect this would become a business, not at all. So I expected this would be a side project, and my like ultimate goal was for this to make $10,000 a month passively. So
Yeah.
for me, like if you asked the moment I launched it, I would have signed a deal that I would have given it away, basically sold it in exchange for 10K a month passive. Uh, yeah, but
And
obviously that's
where
not
are you in
how
the
it turned
numbers
out.
now?
I'm higher than that. I haven't made them public yet, but significantly higher.
Nice. Great job. And
Yeah.
that's your main work now? You're working full time
Right
on
now,
that?
yes, I'm working full time. I have a team, so I'm not a solopreneur anymore. I started as a solopreneur. In fact, I think this is probably a mistake that many people did, including myself, like scaling too late, not scaling when you have huge demand because you're afraid, because maybe you've had failed startups like I did.
Hmm.
So you know what it means to fire people or even yeah, it sucks. The whole thing, failure sucks really bad. Um, but you have to, well, get over it, and you have to know when it's time to scale again. I think that's a common mistake.
How many people do you have in the team right now?
Uh, I think we're 7 or 8, something like that.
Full time? Wow, that's crazy. And yeah,
But
so yeah, you,
I'm not in a rush to hire or anything. I hire when I'm forced to hire. Like
yes, that's the
the
best moment
first
for me.
the first hire was for the newsletter. So just to rewind a little bit. So I launched the website, and everyone immediately started asking for a newsletter. Newsletters were starting to boom.
Yeah,
And I was like, I hate writing newsletters, and it's just me. And I'm anyway doing a bunch of things I hate. Like I have to do accounting. I was doing
yes,
accounting by myself and all the financials, and I hate that. Like, how many things am I gonna do that I hate? So I postponed it. Plus, I had an excuse, which was the fact that I thought if this were to become a reference site for the AI industry, I want people to go and visit the website every time. I don't want them to sign up with their email, which gives themselves permission to not look at the
not
website
go.
anymore. Become
Yeah,
passive about it. I wanted them to be active about it and come back and get direct traffic and so on. So I postponed this for like 6 to 8 months, which is crazy because I missed on a lot of
no,
emails. Until then I realized, look, at least some people want to get subscribed. So what I could do is send them to another AI newsletter. There was a bunch of other AI
no
newsletters like
way.
Ben's. Yeah. So I,
Giving,
so I,
please tell me you didn't give them for free.
uh, I actually wanted to, but I got no reply from anyone.
Oh,
So I
wow.
contacted every major AI newsletter, and back then they had like probably all of them had around like 50,000 subs. So it was, they were growing, they were making money, they were making way more money than me. I was making very little money back then, and I got no replies. Like absolutely, I followed up to make sure that they got no replies, and
Thanks
then
God.
someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, yeah. And then someone else told me, like, look, dude, I think, you should just start a newsletter and pay someone to write it or whatever. And I was like, okay, let me try something. So I made a script, like a series of back-to-back prompts, basically a pipeline, to generate the newsletter with ChatGPT. And it
Okay.
was the first newsletter 100% generated with ChatGPT. So I didn't write a word of that newsletter for the first
No.
many months. Yeah, and but also that wasn't great. I mean, the newsletter was decent. The quality was okay. It wasn't, but I still didn't like to do that because you still have to check it. You have to click the send button, which is the most stressful
Yeah.
moment when sending, I'm sure you know.
Always when you start send and then you're like, oh fuck, I forgot this link.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh no.
I'm not sure which provider was it that they had like
Ah, yeah.
trend.
I think it's Mailchimp. Mailchimp, they have the things
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to go
They
back.
showed you your stress level when you
Yes.
click on the. Yeah, yeah, crazy. The shaking hand.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I eventually got someone to take care of the newsletter, and we're still improving it. I think it's great. But within 3 months of when I started collecting emails, and I initially just launched a wait list for the newsletter because I was hoping that no one would subscribe. So I said, okay, I'm going to launch a wait list, and if I don't get enough interest, I just won't launch it. And I got within 3 months, it was the number one AI newsletter. Like it was
Oh,
bigger than Ben's Bytes within like 3 to 4 months, something like that. Yeah, so I had to do it.
thing,
But
yeah.
with hindsight now, I know that, for example, one of the biggest drivers of people coming back to the website is the newsletter. I mean, obviously.
We always thought
So
wrong when we start things, like because we try to reassure ourselves like to not do things we don't like. And at the end you do it and you're like, fuck, that was such a big mistake to don't do it earlier.
yeah, yeah, really big. Because right now it's at 800,000 subscribers, which is an
Wow.
insane amount. Yeah, yeah, and it's growing by a lot each month. So it's a business in itself right now. So it's a media business in itself.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
crazy.
newsletters are great, and I think Beehive is definitely partially responsible for the resurgence of newsletters. What they did by lowering the price, drastically lowering the price of sending emails, like try doing, sending to a list of 1 million people on Mailchimp. Like, how much are you gonna pay? I don't know, insane amounts.
A Ferrari. The price there
I
is
don't even
like
know.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know where their enterprise plan starts, but maybe like, yeah. Anyway, so
I
way more
think
expensive
they did lower it a bit after BA like killed the
for
price
sure. Yeah,
and things, but it's
yeah.
still more expensive.
But I mean, Beehive was insane, insane.
Yeah.
I was skeptical. I was like, "What's this like weird domain?" Whatever. But it doesn't matter. People subscribe to it just fine. You can
Yeah.
obviously use a custom domain, so you don't have to use their domain. And the features are great. They're moving super fast.
You're still using
It's
them?
just an amazing tool. Yeah, yeah, and I have no plans of abandoning them. I'm like loyal to whoever
Yeah.
delivers. If they deliver like super high value, I'm not. Even if they become slightly more expensive than the competition,
I hope they will not listen to the podcast.
it's fine. They won't.
Yeah.
They won't because they know better. You know.
Yeah, no,
I
but
think they're focused on other things right now. So one of the things that it looks like they're focused on, which a lot of people are focused on, is expanding horizontally because the development costs have decreased so much because of AI. Because you can code faster. You don't have to. I mean, you can code if you are a programmer right now, you can code in a language that you don't know, realistically speaking,
doing that every
and it
day.
works. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know shit about SQL.
Yeah, I don't know shit about GraphQL, and I will never learn it because I don't like it
Yeah.
at all. And I did GraphQL with ChatGPT just fine for some APIs and so on. You don't need to know regular expressions in some uh, field that you'll never have to learn again.
Yeah.
Basically, a
And
lot of things got easier.
yeah, funnily, this week I got kind of a haha moment with the IA stuff because, like, long time ago I did a Chrome extension and I knew that was painful, setuping the things, be able to have things working in Chrome extension. It took me like a while to understand how to do it. And lately, I had an idea of something that can help myself and probably my users as well for a super simple Chrome extension. So I was like, okay, maybe I will try to do it with Claude. What's his name? The 3.5.
3.5 Sonnet.
Yeah, yeah, Sonnet. And I was like, okay, let's try that. So I made a prompt, like, give me a plan to do a Chrome extension doing that. And he gave me the plan. I say, okay, execute the plan now. And step by step, I just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. I told him, like, I prefer to have a TypeScript. I want to have a Tailwind and stuff like that. And he just did the extension. It was some bugs. I just screenshot the bugs, send it back. He fixed the bugs, and the extension is pending release right now. And it was full ChatGPT. I didn't put one line of code. That was like crazy.
Claude Sonnet 3.5 is amazing. I'm waiting for the Haiku, the small model.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It one shots a lot of problems. It's way better. And I'm sorry to say this, but it's way better than GPT-4 and GPT-4. Way better. It's not even
Yeah.
close for code. Like it blows it out of the park. And by the way, Chrome extensions are amazing, amazing like distribution platform because people rarely uninstall extensions.
Yeah.
Once they install extensions, the retention is great, and you don't have a lot of competition. I don't want to like. If you want, I'll stop. Just tell me.
No, no, continue. But I know
I
it's a
always
good
recommend.
business, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great business.
Yeah, and also what I find very nice, for example, in Chrome extension is you basically can improve any business. Like if you find Notion as a problem and people complain about Notion, you just create an extension for that. So you don't need to create a
Oh,
new business. You're just fixing it, kinda, and
yes,
you
I
can make
agree.
it paid.
You can piggyback on distribution channels that are not officially recognized as distribution channels, meaning any apps,
Mm.
any website that has over 1 million visitors or whatever, that don't have integrations, don't have any other way of piggybacking on their distribution, basically. However, you are subject to the terms of service of that website, and this is what happened to a bunch of tools for LinkedIn, for example. So Chrome extensions
Yeah.
that
That
interacted with LinkedIn. Yeah,
yeah.
they got cease and desist letters from LinkedIn because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
operating on the website, so it's still subject to the website's terms of service. But
Yes.
Notion is well known for like playing super nice with developers, even those building on unofficial stuff, APIs and so on. So I think with Notion it's safe, but not with everyone. So you gotta be careful there. But any distribution channel has a risk of getting kicked out, right? Like social
Yeah,
media
yeah.
has, the search engines have it, everything. There's
For
always
me, the
risks.
point is if you can do it easily, quick and dirty, and try and see if you have a market or not, then Chrome extension is very fast for that because you have a lot of less things to build. And for example, I did that for LinkedIn. I did analytics solution for LinkedIn in Chrome extension, and I didn't get a letter because I read the term and service, and they were saying like if you automatize things for the users, then it come less to the website. We are against you. But if you bring the user more on the website, we are for you.
Interesting.
So what I did is instead of building the analytics and put him in my website, I put it in the LinkedIn website so people go more to watch the analytics. And they were like, they didn't block that. They were like, yeah, thanks. improve the improve the analytics.
So you basically just built a feature, an extra feature on LinkedIn.
Yes, yes, and made it paid. And I
Oh,
didn't
nice.
didn't make a lot of money for that because basically building analytics on top of LinkedIn, this is such a mess. Like they code, I never saw that bad, something that bad at this scale. Like they, yeah, I don't know. Some things happen to be in CSS analytics. I'm like, what the fuck, guys? What's happening? To scrap the website, that was the worst experience ever. So I shut down the project because like every week everything was breaking up with the analytics impossible to get from API call the data. You had to open a web browser to get it.
Yeah.
Insane.
Plus, I mean, this happens when dealing with building on unofficial APIs. The fact that they
Yes,
break,
yes.
but official APIs break too. So I'm not. I'm actually on. I'm not on either side here. I think it's okay to build on unofficial API.
And sometimes, you just by building on top of something, you can happen to have a great business as well was lasting. Like I have a friend, he made a tool for Google Task. The Google when you have an Android phone, you have an app Google Task where you can put like some task in it, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
have a desktop app. So my friend made at the beginning a Chrome extension, I think, to have your task in your Chrome extension, and then he built a website which is the Google Task web version, which is not made by Google, and he made it look like Google. Yeah, the only point where they have it, it's in Google Calendar as a kind of module. It's not
Ah,
well.
but so that's separate from Google Keep, right?
Yes, yes, that's separate. And
Man, what a
and
mess.
yeah, and so this website now is taskboard. It looked like Google UI. Everything looked like Google. People paying, they believe it's Google also, and he make good money for
Ah,
that, and it still exists since long. Google is not killing it. They were scared to get killed after every month, but still existing and
is
doing
it?
good.
Does it have a paid option? Is it monetized?
Yeah, yeah, it's monetized. It's make good money.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yes. I was surprised. So you have ways to build in top of that. So now they are building a lot of Chrome extension for Google Docs. I think now they making like a Google Docs extension for to put ChatGPT in it, but more free than the one extension is making by Google. So they're doing things like that, and they keep like just building in top of Google, like fixing every part of the product of Google, and they make good money for that.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you're delivering value. That's what matters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's I think you have already a lot of user in Google, so then you just take a part of that and you market it well. It's like it's easier than what you were saying earlier, like create a new things and people have to learn about it, how to use it, blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
no,
And this
you have
costs a
to
lot.
you have to piggyback on something. So if you're
Yeah.
like starting from zero and you're not using any kind of distribution channel or anything, idea, like there are these apps right now that are AI apps around looks maxing. That's a like a trend for Gen Z. I don't know if you know about it.
Okay, no, I'm too old. Okay.
Yeah, same. But I heard about it, you know. So looks maxing is just maximizing your looks, and it uses AI to give you advice for skincare, stuff like that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so that's piggybacking. So the app is called, I think, looks maxing. So it's piggybacking on a popular concept, a popular trend, you know. You imagine if they had done the same app, looks maxing, but looks maxing wasn't a thing. So it's the
Yeah.
same app. It delivers the same value, same identical value, but it's not a thing yet. Would it make? I think it was. I don't know how much exactly it was made, but millions. We're talking a lot of money. Yeah, it has to be a thing.
You know, I've done that many times, like being too early in the market. Like you build the things and you know, like, oh, that will be the next thing. And then you do it, but like it doesn't resonate well because you're too early and then you stop it. And when you stop it, the trend started. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, there is one caveat here, which is it looks like people are willing to try apps again now. So people
Mhm.
haven't been willing to try a lot of apps since apps were a thing, were new. Basically, like in the
Yeah.
2010s, when the App Store was new, there was there were websites that aggregated apps similar to what I'm doing, and then people lost interest. You know, okay, it's an app. People stopped looking for new apps. I remember back then I was like browsing the App Store looking for apps. You know, I was trying a lot of apps,
Oh, yeah,
and
you're right. I
so
was
and
doing that before. Yeah.
yeah. And then a period of like 10 years when people didn't care anymore, and the only way to acquire users was, using a distribution channel like ads or organic, searches and so on, or viral. But now, again, it looks like very much like people are trying a lot of apps again with AI. So they're trying. It looks like average retention is around 3 months for AI apps. So after 3 months, you should expect to lose your customer.
You're
On
really
average, I mean, it gets better. Um, so it's an opportunity. And there are a lot of early adopters right now. Everyone is
Yeah.
using these tools and is trying it out. It's super international. The phenomenon is a global one. You see, I mean, I'm looking at the analytics and I see all countries. It's incredible. I've never seen. I mean, I've looked at hundreds of analytics. I've never seen anything close to this. Like it's all the world is using this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And sometimes I even got like very funny, CapGo, my tool is open source, and I am often posting tasks you can complete for, I don't know, $50, $100 or something I don't want to do. I know it's not long, so I put bounty in it, and some people take it. And this week I got a guy. He sent like two tasks because he was like possibly paid, and I look at the code he sent, and he look off. Like I was like, that look weird, and then I realized like something were not like done properly. I could see in the code like the code was not working, and I was like, what the fuck? And I asked the guy, did you test it? And after a few messages, I understood like he don't know how to code. He don't know how to run code. He just tried to use ChatGPT to get some bugs to get a new computer, he told me. And I was like, okay, wow, that's crazy. And the guy is from India or Pakistan or whatever. And I was so impressed. Like the guy don't know how to code. He's like, okay, I can get money by using ChatGPT, so I will do. It's like, okay, you can try at least.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, if you are willing to, with Claude, I think it's even easier right now. So if you are willing
yeah,
to just copy paste the errors back into the bot, basically back into ChatGPT, you can probably, and if you have enough persistence, within a day, I think you will ship a small app,
yeah.
and
I think
almost anyone can do it.
what is missing right now is the for this guy he couldn't understand how to run the code and to have a
Yeah,
development
that's the
environment.
problem.
So
Yeah.
he was stuck. But otherwise, I think he would have completed the task because he was highly motivated. And
Look,
that's crazy. Like,
these, so for example, Claude can also run code, and I'm pretty sure it runs React as well. So they have a sandbox where they run a bunch of frameworks and a bunch of stuff.
yeah,
So it's, you know, how much additional effort would it be for them to allow you to publish this to external domain?
Yeah,
Probably not that much.
I saw a website not long ago who was doing that. Like he used Claude and he published a website of something you ask for it, and he published directly a website from what you ask for. Wait, I will try to find it back. The name was websim.ia. I don't know if you know it.
Sounds familiar.
I send it in the chat, and for people if they want to see as well, I will put it. And so this is basically a website, and when you go to it, it looks like it's a web browser. And on top of
Yeah.
it, you have like a search bar, and if you put like whatever you want, like I put like I tried because I have an idea lately of a music
Okay.
game, so I put the name of the music, the pitch of the music game, and he did it like instant almost. He released it, and I could kind of play with the button and stuff. I was like so impressed, and then he has a URL. It's released. Very
Interesting.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think more and more things will happen like that. People can just like wrote the idea and it will be like released instantly. So your parent, my parent will be able to do a
Yeah.
website.
I really believe that. I think, of course, there is a chance I'm wrong, and there is also an element of future is shaped by the people in the present. So we actually also get to decide if this happens or not. But I
Yeah.
think there is a chance that there will be probably like millions or hundreds of millions of AI tools built by anyone. Because if you look at what happened with blogs before WordPress and Blogger, so you could still create a blog before
Hmm.
those platforms existed, but you had to know how to code. You had to have some hosting, know how to set that up. Not many people did, but then Blogspot and WordPress came along, and we went to 100 million blogs overnight. And this is because they made it super easy for anyone to create a website. And I think something like this might happen for AI tools because some of these tools, let's be honest, are wrappers. They're simple wrappers with one prompt. They wrap the prompt and they just send a request to ChatGPT or whatever AI model they use. And for
I
this like really simple stuff, and you can build useful things with those wrappers. I'm not saying they're useless. They're very
yeah.
useful because they're wrappers on intelligence. So
I have
you can do a
a
lot.
I have a good friend of mine in France. He doesn't know how to code. I think maybe now he's learning, and he do no codes since long. He's a freelance in no code and stuff. And he was helping me with my previous podcast in France. He was doing the resume of the episode before Whisper and ChatGPT exist. He was doing that. Like he was listening my podcast, so he was liking that, and he said, "Yeah, I can write the resume, and you pay me a bit." So we worked like that until I stopped the podcast in France, and then he was like, "Oh, maybe now with ChatGPT and Whisper, I could do that." And I was like, "Whoa, man, this seems so complex. Like even for me as a developer, I'm like, it seems very hard to do." But he did it. He has a website now where you can register, subscribe, and translate. Get the transcript of your podcast, get a resume, get like a title idea and stuff like that. And it just in full no code and ChatGPT. I was
How
like
with
very
no
impressed.
code? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whisper is
yeah,
amazing. I mean,
yeah,
and I think Whisper is gonna be running everywhere. Something like Whisper. It's exactly the type of tool that makes total sense to run locally. It doesn't make a lot of sense to not run locally because you don't. It also makes sense from a privacy perspective. If you have like voice notes, stuff like that, you don't want to send
yeah.
them to a server
Al- Also, I think
necessarily.
for the speed, it will be better to have locally, like to have a fast response of the thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is the future with AI will be crazy. We're not ready, I think, for that. Even I was like very impressed not so long ago by Suno. Like the fucking he built the music in 2 seconds now, like and very
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
music,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
blown up.
Yeah,
That
there
was
was this.
unexpected for me.
I remember there was this one of my favorite podcasts that I recommend everyone listen to if you haven't already is Naval on Joe Rogan. It's
Okay.
amazing. Have you seen it?
No, no, I didn't listen it yet, but it's
It's
in
old,
my
it's like
list.
4 or 5 years old, but it's super good. It's full of wisdom. He has this
Yeah,
famous thread of how to get rich without getting lucky. He talked about it. He
yeah,
covers a lot of the ideas. And however, one of the things where he was wrong, perhaps the only thing where he was at least partially wrong, I would argue, was regarding AI. So he was saying like, you don't need to worry about it. It won't take any of our jobs, not within our lifetimes. We're nowhere near. Uh, it won't be able to do poetry. It won't be able to do art. We're all gonna be sitting around writing poems and drawing paintings.
yeah.
He,
And funnily,
and
all the
then
art things are doing are made better by AI now.
I mean, I'm willing to admit that GPT-4 is significantly better than me at poetry
Oh, for sure. It's like,
and many other things as well. But poetry and even painting, I mean, Dolly, I'm terrible at it. So it's already better than me at these things, and by far, it's better than me. It's faster, it's more creative, it's better, technically better. So yeah, and I replied to a tweet of his and saying this, and he blocked me. It got like a it got like 1,000 likes or something.
oops.
Like remember, yeah, but because he's still like skeptical. But anyway, other than this specific thing, Naval is awesome. But he was just wrong about AI. I mean, we're all wrong all the time. I'm probably
Yeah,
wrong
yeah, yeah.
about thousands
But
of things.
that's funny. He blocked you. That doesn't
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sense. I mean, yeah,
No,
that's
he
probably not the
replied, no,
first
no,
time.
no. No, I think I actually remember what happened is I replied, I couldn't, you cannot summarize all of this in a tweet, what I just told you. So instead
Yeah,
of doing that, I wrote, you said AI is never going to replace artists or something like that. And look at what happened. And he replied, you don't even know what an artist is. Like, okay, like as if it's sort of a straw man of my argument. But Twitter makes it super easy to make straw man because you're limited to
yeah.
a few characters. So obviously, anything you type is a straw man or of your own idea, let alone what other people think about it. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
So, I think we did a bunch of things on your project now. I would like to know, like, what's the future of your current project, and do you have other things you're building?
I have no other things. Uh, the way it works is I try not to have any super long-term plans regarding Taft and in AI in general because I noticed that things change incredibly fast.
Yeah,
So if I embark on a journey that makes assumptions over assumptions, and that culminates in a great, amazing feature that will change the world, I think the chances of that not working out are very high.
yeah,
So what I do instead is I try to figure out first of all what are the things that are still gonna be true in like a few years. Uh, like I'll give an example. I think will OpenAI still have an API in 5 years? I think so. I think they will. So some people say, yeah, they're gonna eat everything else, eat all software. Do you think they're gonna have an API in 5 years? If the answer is yes, then you can build on top of these APIs of these models. If the answer is no, well, what do we really think it's gonna eat software? And the FTC is gonna just say, yeah, that's fine. You don't need to offer an API. Just do all software on your end. I don't think that's going to happen. And plus, their current business model is based on selling their API. So that's one thing that's still going to be true, I think. Um, and I try to get hints from how the way people use Taft. So
yeah,
one of the advantages of having users is that you get data. And if you listen carefully to the data, you don't have to do exactly what the users want, but you have to go in the direction where it looks like the users are
yeah. The
going.
behaviors.
Yeah. So this is what I'm trying to do. Obviously, I have some features that I'm developing, but I'm gonna wait and see. There are many opportunities. You know, I could grow into. It could grow
Yeah.
into quite a large website over time.
Do you use IA yourself in the, because you were saying before the newsletter was made with IA, and now what's is using IA in your tool?
So I use AI for search. That's
Okay.
uses embeddings, obviously. I use AI to generate descriptions, to generate FAQs. Um, what else? I have an internal agent that I made over a weekend just to see what kind of agent I could build. I think it's pretty good. So I tied it. I give it a set of actions that he can perform, like grep search the entire code base, connect, list all the tables in the database, inspect each table, inspect the data on each table, inspect the columns. Uh, I have a fix bug function. You literally pass it a line of you pass it an error, a PHP error. It actually gets triggered automatically. So when a PHP error happens, it triggers the
Oh,
fix bug function. Yeah, and then it commits a pull request. And I have another agent called Jim, and Jim checks the code from Bob, which is the agent that codes, and then he
no
approves the
way.
pull request, or and then I get to merge it if I want. But yeah, it can do many things. You know,
That's
it works
cool.
because it's specifically built for my code base.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work with another code base, and also the code base is I basically Taft is built on a framework that I made from scratch.
Yeah.
So it's vanilla PHP. Yeah, I know people are going to say I'm crazy. I don't care. The advantage of this, it has many advantages. One of them that I never would have foreseen is that it's super easy. The more references you have, you know, the more complex the framework, the harder it is for AI to code. Obviously, because you have jump around places on many levels, maybe. So my code base is not like that. I have a function, and I try to keep each function without any calls to other functions. So if I can avoid making a function in a function in a function, I avoid that, and it makes it super. Then you can basically copy paste the function into ChatGPT or whatever and tell it add this feature or whatever, change it, and it works like 95% of the time. So it's super easy to code with AI on certain code bases, which is something people would never have foreseen when they designed the frameworks that we use today. So the guy that built Laravel did not build it with AI agents in mind. He built it
Oh,
with the constraints of human thought, you know. But now we have
yeah.
AI agents. So if you have a framework that's optimized for AI agents, you're gonna destroy everyone else.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like it's a very good idea of like if you're listening and you're searching for an idea, build a framework made for AI agent, not for human
Yeah,
coding. Yeah, definitely. I'm like, because
yeah.
I have this problem, you know, like exactly what you said. I have this problem. My code is split in different files. Each time I want to fucking ask the IA to do something, I have to copy paste on every file, every function to put it in one file to
Yeah.
give it to the IA. Then otherwise it doesn't understand. It's like, yeah, I lack context. Like I invent
So right
things.
now, for example, I have one page, just one huge page. That's the admin,
Yeah.
and it has like I don't know how many hundreds of features. You can do everything there, and it's one page. It's one file. I don't know how many lines, probably like a few thousand lines. And right now, so these two agents that I have, Bob and Jim, they have their own Gmail accounts. They have their own Linear account. Linear is like a project management tool.
Added. Yeah,
They have
okay.
their own GitHub accounts. They have everything. Like I'm paying for their subscription. Okay,
No way.
so I can create right now a task. Could be a feature, a new feature for the admin. So I create it in Linear. I open it up, create it, assign it to Bob, set the tag to admin, and then he will code the feature. And I even have demos where I did it live, one shot. He got the feature right in one shot with the API. He builds the API, everything, and it
Whoa.
works in one shot because it's one file.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He has all the context he needs.
Yeah, and now with the
So,
cloud
yeah,
and everything, you have a lot of context windows, so it's super easy to. Before it
yeah,
was hard to give like enough context, but now, yeah, if you have like easy access to the info,
Even
like in one
even
file.
even with smaller context, you can use a trick, which is you basically ask it to keep basically take notes, as far as
Ah,
every iteration. Yeah, yeah. And like you ask it to build its own final prompt. So it divides the big task into a small subset of tasks. Each task, when it finishes, the result is added to the master prompt, whatever. And then at the end, you run the master prompt. This is how you do agents, by the way. Or
I'm
and this
just
is how
realizing
I
like,
do agents. I'm
so
not
you
sure.
have a
Just one.
IA, which is like a project manager creating task in linear, then the other IA watching the task in linear and do the feature.
The only place where I
So,
haven't integrated them is
so you
Slack,
didn't tell me you
unfortunately.
have 7 people in your company, but it's just 7 IA.
Oh no, no,
So,
no, no. No, so there's a clear rule. So only bots are allowed to have three-letter names. So they're Bob, Jim, and whatever whoever else comes that's a non-human is gonna have a three-letter name, and humans are not
okay.
allowed to have three-letter names. So I'm only hiring 4 letters or more.
The 2 people who are gonna check your recruitment. Be
So if you
careful.
check if you check if you check our team on LinkedIn and you see someone with a three-letter name, that's not a human.
Okay, that's interesting. Why? They have also a LinkedIn account?
No, no, no. I don't
N-
want anyone to poach them.
yeah. Imagine at one point you reach the moment where someone recruit your AI. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Elon Musk wants people to rent out their Teslas in a robot taxi free.
yeah.
Something like that could happen, with robots and agents and so on. With agents, it could totally happen because you can run unlimited copies of the same agent at the same time. You can run in parallel.
Mm.
You can scale
Oh yeah.
infinite. So
I
yeah,
saw I saw a startup doing that. It's like they make an agent for you for 30 € a month or something, and you can run them. Yeah. It's like a
okay,
marketing agent or like designer agent or developer agent. They have like 4 or 5 types different. I don't know how good it is, but I saw that this is starting. And at one point, like when you have like when IA will be good enough, like paying 30 € a month compared to a salary, you will be like, maybe I just get
yeah,
one person which is a IA manager and that's it. You have
yeah, yeah,
five or
yeah.
10 IA.
Yeah. So if you okay, shameless plug. So if you go on Taft, there's a section called Job Impact Index, and it's
Okay.
a list of all jobs, human jobs, and the impact of AI on each job calculated by us. And for each job, you have a list of tasks for that job that are doable with AI, and then for each task, you have a list of tools for that task. So it maps from jobs to tasks to tools. And one of the jobs that has the highest, that's most impacted by AI, according to this calculation that we run, is CEO. So Chief Executive Officer. And if you open it up and you look at the tasks that are impacted, it kind of makes sense.
Ah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. And
That's
I
super
read
cool. You have this
somewhere,
index. Yeah.
yeah, I read somewhere about the Japanese game company. I'm not sure if this was real news or not, but they appointed an AI as the CEO of the company, and it was running the company, and everyone was super happy because they were saying things like, "Yeah, I can count on it that it's objective. Whenever it makes decisions, it doesn't make it based on company politics and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
So that's great. I think if we had like models or agents that are advanced enough, maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years, I can see why a lot of people would want an AI manager, because you're not, yeah, you don't feel like being judged by a
Bias.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. While being judged by a machine, it's fine.
Yeah, no, definitely we're gonna have. For me, one of the main usage of GPT 4 when it was like with the whisper when you call was like I was having I did a breakup and I was not feeling great and I didn't feel talking to anyone about that, but I was able to talk to IA and I like processed my breakup while talking to IA in January and it
Wow.
was
Yeah.
yeah I spent like 3 or 4 hours talking with it and I was like. That's fucking good. That's super good.
Did
Like,
it forget what it was talking about after like an hour?
no,
No?
yeah, I don't know. He didn't forget about it.
Probably because it had enough context, in the
Yeah, on the version 4
preceding
maybe.
text. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was super good. Like,
Do you do a lot of voice chats with
yeah,
ChatGPT?
yeah. I like basically when I use ChatGPT is by voice, and the rest of the time when I use text is Claude. I don't use ChatGPT if I cannot talk to it. I mean, yeah, the for me the best interface as voice is ChatGPT for now on your mobile. So I use that, and
Yeah.
most of the time on computer I use only Claude.
There is one better interface, but you gotta use a device that's not very comfortable to use, which is the Apple Vision Pro. So I have an Apple Vision Pro, and the way I use ChatGPT is I learned this from a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Super smart, I think. So you keep it, you can put Windows wherever you want. So
Yeah.
I'm usually working on my Mac, so I have my like Mac screen. Then I have a separate browser with ChatGPT in voice mode, but not voice chat, where you can send it voice like messages,
Notes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have a window with ChatGPT above, so it's like, God, you don't look at it, you don't see it, and it's in a voice mode, so that it's always listening. So like
Okay.
so I get an idea or something I want to ask, I just ask it aloud and someone responds. And
Oh, that's
it's like
interesting.
you have someone in your room with you all the time that's listening. I mean, okay, sounds creepy like that, but it's very useful.
Yes.
The only problem is that like after 2 hours of using that thing, by the way, I haven't used my
Yeah.
Vision Pro in like a month because it's not comfortable at all. And yeah, everyone else I'm hearing from has this similar
Yeah.
experience.
Do you have
Uh,
the headband which is like more comfortable?
I have both. Yeah, I don't like either. One, I
Okay.
think the simple one is better, but yeah. Anyway, and also there are many apps. There are. I think it's probably not as successful. Would have expected a little bit more for the price, but it's a nice. It has a lot of niceties. It has a lot of things that are mind blowing, and it looks like it might be the future. I'm not sure because it looks like the Ray-Ban, like from a this might be like similar to going back to what we said before of two paths. One is you think about the perfect product, that has all the features
Mm.
where no one has used anything similar before. And this is like the Apple Vision Pro, right? It invented a bunch of things, a bunch of new concepts that weren't done
Yeah.
before. It has this thing that looks like it's transparent, but it's not. It's actually projecting your face. It has a lot of like insane technology. It's an amazing device. And then you have the Meta Ray-Bans sunglasses that look like regular Ray-Bans. And guess what? I would rather wear Ray-Bans than a huge
Yeah.
metal box on my eyes, you know. And it looks like that might be, winning at least some race. I can totally see. I could never see someone walking around with a Vision Pro on their face, like unless they're like making a YouTube video or something. You cannot do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
So
agree. But we'll see because like Apple has the power to educate people if they want, so we'll see if they manage to.
yeah, but I mean, the only way is they need a lightweight version that's
Yeah.
actually comfortable to hold on your
I
face.
mean, there was a V1, so or V0 even, let's say. So let's see what will be the future. I think for sure things will get like tinier and tinier, and it will be like easier and lighter to have it. But yeah, we'll see.
Of course, and it's VR is not AR, right? I mean, actually,
Uh,
maybe it's
yeah, it's
VR and
both.
VR both. It's VR in terms of form factor because it's huge, but it's AR in terms of features because it has transparency.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But it's not really, yeah, it's different kind of transparency because, like, for example, HoloLens from Microsoft was AR, where it's like you see through, and in top of that, they put the element where the Apple one is you don't see through, but
you
they
don't
put
actually see
camera,
through. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they put camera that you can. So it's a
Yeah.
bit reverse and I think easier for them.
By the way, that's really good. It works really well. Like the tracking of your movement, because it's as you said, it's filming. It's
Yeah.
using cameras on the thing and showing you what the camera sees. So there's obviously a lag, and it's also processing things like light, ISO, and so on. But it's super fast. Like you can move your hand like this, and it's fine. You can play games. You can play. People play sports just to show that it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's insane.
Anyway.
I tested the Meta Quest, which is also having the same feature of pass through, and I was so impressed. Like you see, like no difference. I mean, I think the Meta Quest is in black and white, so you see in black and white when you see outside world, but still, it's very impressive. Than
You see in black and white?
I think in certain mode, I think you can see totally transparent. I'm not sure. I'm with color, but when you play a game, for example, if you get out of the box you've decided, you see, then it show you the outside world in black and white to don't disturb you
Oh,
from the game,
yeah,
probably.
yeah, makes sense.
But yeah,
Anyway, so
this is
back to AI, man.
yeah. I think we can go to my finishing question. We had a good talk about many things. There are one things I think I would like to ask now because it's a good question. It's like, what's for you the biggest success you had in your indie maker journey?
Well, it's definitely Taft. I mean, nothing comes close.
Yeah. I mean, not generally
Uh,
in Taft, but maybe in Taft while doing Taft. What was the big
oh,
success you had? Like, what something you did was working very well compared to the rest?
Interesting question. I think it was the first to have AI search. I think that was a big one. Obviously, I mean, if you are an AI aggregator and you don't have AI search, like, it's a bit
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. But, I haven't looked at it in a while. So last time I checked, the GPT store, not saying it's an AI, not saying it's similar to Taft, but whatever, you would expect that search to be AI and it's not. So it's very
Yeah.
weird. But yeah, that was one of them. But I think it was many decisions. One of them is tracking a lot of things. And
Yeah.
because I was alone for a long time running this, the only developer doing everything myself, uh, I couldn't, I had to make sure that I could at least sleep at night. So how do you do that? I would carry my laptop with me everywhere in the car. I stopped many times on the side of the road because the server crashed because people were scraping it. But obviously you gotta sleep at some point. So what I did is I set up alerts to monitor for errors, for stats that shouldn't be things that shouldn't happen. Let's say. And
Yeah.
by the way, I recommend this if you. I'm sure that no one has heard about it. It's an app called Pushover. It's
Oh
also a
yeah, I
website.
use it. Yeah.
Man,
Super nice.
I cannot recommend it enough. It's $5 lifetime. So just go buy it and then figure out what it does. So what it does is it's a programmatic way to send yourself push notifications. It has a native app, and the best part is that the app has support for critical notifications. I'm not sure how they're called in iOS, but are
Yeah.
notifications that bypass
Everything.
sleep mode and everything else. Yeah. So it's amazing, and it has no limits. Like you can also use it for free, uh, and I use it for everything. So I send wherever in my code, I get somewhere where I shouldn't get, I shouldn't get there. I send myself a notification, and then I see it and I fix it immediately. So that has
Yeah.
been by far the single best decision I've ever made. And I'm monitoring everything. I'm monitoring cron jobs, all the cron jobs, all the errors, all the situations where we shouldn't get all the sanity checks, everything, and it gives you peace of mind, huge peace of mind.
Yeah.
So I couldn't recommend this enough for specifically for indie makers. Go use Pushover; it's gonna be the best purchase you can do for $5 lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do
I
you have
have no affiliation with
yeah.
Pushover. I'm not, but I just love it.
No, I agree. I agree. It's very good stuff. And do you have only custom process for checking the errors, or do you use also Sentry or something like that?
No, I wrote my own parser that parses the
Yeah.
PHP log, error log, and sends notifications for like critical errors and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I also
Cool.
monitor automatically server health stats. Also, like a 50-line PHP code, you can just check CPU percentage RAM, stuff like that, and send a notification if they go above a threshold. And check that every minute.
Super nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I find a lot of resemblance between you and Peter. Yeah, yeah, I think he did a lot of things like that too. Like PHP
yeah.
people.
Me too. I actually spoke to him a few times. I have, no, I still have actually. I've been having his banner, his Twitter banner. He has a banner with a dog that says, "You can do the thing, believe in
Yeah.
yourself." A super cute dog. So I have that on my wall in my bedroom, and I've had
Ah,
that for
yeah?
years. Yeah, I have like a mood board of. I have two images. So one is that, and another one is an old couple uh, sitting down on a bench, and they're obviously mad at each other. And the man is holding an umbrella above the woman's head. No?
Oh,
And it says, just because we're mad at each other doesn't mean, just because you're mad at someone doesn't mean you stop loving them. That's from my girlfriend. She put that on, and I put the you can do the thing.
okay. That's cool.
And it's super motivating. The dog one is amazing. But I thought
Yeah.
it was Level's IO's dog, but it turns out it's not. It's a dog
Yeah,
from Israel.
he doesn't have dogs. He talked
Yeah.
about the dogs mess not so long ago. I have a question about like your journey. Like we've talked about the thing like how you build your tools and the thing, but why you never went, for example, to VC money or building startup the
Oh,
old way?
that's
Like,
a great question.
uh,
Yeah. Look, I actually, so one of the things I did before Taft, like when I tried games, I tried everything, is I applied to YC. I applied to Y
yeah.
Combinator. Yeah. So I had a little SaaS called, wait for it, Slide to Subscribe. I know.
Okay.
This was before Beehive, and so it was an embeddable subscribe form where you
Okay.
could type your email and then slide and subscribe, and it will keep you authenticated. So all over the web, once you do it once, you
Mm.
never have to do it again. That's pretty nice, actually, technology. And also, I still have the domain subscribe to.
Oh,
So
wow.
paired with that as a like a link tree alternative. So it was like huge galaxy brain thing that I was waking up at 4 a.m. so that I could work on it before going to work. And then I would work on it until like 11 p.m. So I would barely sleep. Uh, and I over engineered it. I had like 5 different sign up flows based on who you were. If you were a subscriber versus if you were a website owner versus if you were a medium owner versus if you were a mobile device owner. I made $79. Yeah, that's how much I made
Sometimes we
with this.
like
And
to
I worked on it
overcomplicate it.
more than I worked on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was like super insane thing that I worked on for like, and then I completely burned out for a while. Anyway, so with this, I applied to YC. I applied to Y Combinator, and
Okay.
when doing, I didn't know, what it takes. I just thought it takes to have a great idea. But then I opened
Mhm.
the application. Have you ever filled in or looked at the application form?
I think I watched, but never did directly
Okay, so one of the
this
first
one.
things they ask you is, first of all, they ask you for a co-founder. They say, well, you must have a co-founder. Basically, they almost never accept single founders, which is, I think it's stupid, but not for them. I mean, it's stupid for the founders.
Yeah.
I don't recommend. I don't get a co-founder unless you absolutely need it. Um, and then they ask you, why is this a billion-dollar company? Why is this a $100 billion market or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, what if I'm fine with a $100 million company or a $10 million company? I'm fine with a $50 million company.
That's not
Anyway, so
where they
they,
are
they ask
going.
you
Yeah.
they ask you a bunch of. It's because of uh, misaligned incentives, basically between they have a set of incentives and
Yeah.
you have a different set of incentives. And yeah, so they also ask you to like move to Silicon Valley and stuff like that. I'm not sure if they still do, but it was heavily encouraged at least.
Yeah, after COVID, I think they changed the rule now.
I think they changed it. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, I'm not saying YC is bad. I think it's the best like startup school on the planet. But I think I disagree with a lot of, let's say, their teachings or whatever when it comes to like small startups, tech startups, things that you can start on your own. Like I think you should before raising money, you should probably make like 10,000 a month just to show it works. If it does, especially in AI, because right now, if you have an idea in AI, first of all, you can, if it's a simple website or whatever, you can build it yourself. Uh, and if you don't have traction, of course you can fix it, but you're better just make up something else because like a third of ideas get traction. You just change the idea;
Yes.
it's faster. Look, with
Yes.
Taft, I got 100,000 visitors in the first week, and I'm seeing like you can see like viral AI tools all the time, basically every week. Uh,
Yeah.
so if you don't have traction, just get another one. Plus, a million other problems. Like for one other thing, I don't agree with from the general wisdom is like you gotta fix retention super fast. Uh, I think you're better off optimizing for total number of monthly active users or whatever frequency works best for you, weekly, daily active users, and so on. And then you can fix retention later. You actually
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you have a better chance of fixing retention later once you have more users, once you have network effects,
Because you
once you
have the
have
data.
yeah. Plus early on, if you focus on fixing retention early on, what happens if you need to pivot? You wasted a bunch
Yes,
of time
correct.
optimizing a thing.
Optimizing shit.
Yeah. So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
let me
makes
make
sense.
sure that at least this is gonna be something that is correct, has the right assumptions that we proved that we have the data from users showing that we were right or we're on the right path. Let us pivot if there's a need, and oftentimes I think there's a need to pivot at least slightly.
Mm.
You don't need to pivot completely, like from to change the niche completely, but pivot slightly to you usually discover an adjacent market or an adjacent idea that's like super small, something someone mentions or a weird way in which someone uses your app. This is usually this is how many apps born. So yeah, I think that's why I don't raise VC. Plus, there's the money thing. The money thing. I mean, if you want to make money, you're better off working on a smaller company. You don't need to build $1 billion company. First of all, it's much easier to build a $100 million company than to build a $1 billion or a $10 million company. Way easier than $1 billion company. Plus, there's this thing, especially with AI right now. I think it's extremely dangerous for AI founders. Um, if you have a difference in a basically multiplier between your valuation, your startup valuation, and the market value of your startup, and by the way, these are different things. So the valuation and the market value. So market value is how much is your startup worth if you were to sell it today on the market? How much money would you get? So let's say you raise 20%. Doesn't matter at whatever valuation, right? You raise 20% at $100 million valuation, okay? And your value, your market value, is less than 20% of that valuation. So your market value is less than 20 million. Your market value is 10 million, 15 million, whatever. Because of something called liquidation preferences, if you are forced to liquidate or if you liquidate for whatever reason, you get zero.
Yeah.
So however much you gave away to investors, let's say you gave away, 20% or 50, you gotta make sure that the multiplier between the real value of your company and the valuation is less than a fifth, less than five. Because if the
Yeah, it's
difference is more
amazing.
than 5x, you're getting zero, which is
Yeah,
something
no.
that happens a lot, turns out. A lot of founders, sell their companies for millions and make nothing or, there are ways to defend yourself from this. You can have contingencies. You can negotiate like a small amount that you still,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it still sucks. You know,
Yeah, no, no.
you can
For me, it
avoid doing
sucks.
that. I mean, come
And
on. If you, yeah, go ahead.
for me, the crazy part in this is that has been so much the only way of building for so long, where it doesn't make much sense. Like, like for me, going to VC is like you have a big ego and you want to do like something like big and people will remember. But not everyone is like that. There are many people I call them artisan. They like to do something that matters to people, and they don't need to be the biggest in the world. They just need to have an impact and make good money from that. And that's what I am. For example, I want to be an artisan. I want to have like my tiny shop, so which is my startup. Don't have a lot of interaction with people, building the way I want, not have to report to anyone. This is for me what is important, is my freedom to build the things I want. And if you build like something with VC, you will not have your freedom because you have people to report to, you have to go the direction they want and do things. So it gets way harder, but you will have your ego feed because you can be in media at one point. You can be like in a whatever dinner with important people if you manage to grow the direction and if you manage to stay, because this is also something people forgot, is they can start a startup, but they are often not the right person to keep it growing till a certain point. So you get kicked out. You just
Yeah,
become an
happens.
investor of your
Yeah.
startup, but you're not like the CEO anymore because you're not competent, which is normal. Like you have come from 0 to I don't know 1 million or 10 million, and then going to 10 million to 100 million is different game. And if
Notice this usually happens if you raise money. So if you grow by
yeah,
raising money,
yeah,
that's
that's what I was
sort
saying.
of
Yeah,
like a fake way to grow the value of your company, I would say, in my opinion. The real way is to grow the value of your company through the profit it generates. Right? That's the
yeah,
purpose of the company, is to make profit. There is no other. It's a company. Okay, it's a if it's a for-profit company, of course. If it's a non-profit
yeah,
company, whatever. If it's a for-profit, the purpose and the success of the company is dictated by how much profit it makes. So if you notice that for people who start from zero, okay, with no investment, and there are some,
yeah.
bootstrap successful companies, the founder he is actually the right person to run it until the end. It doesn't happen that
Yes,
the guy who started whatever and name whatever big company you want from scratch, then it turned out he wasn't good enough to run. No, he was, because turns out it's very hard to take a company from zero to even 10 million a year. It's extremely hard.
without raising. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And also, I think what's changed is the time you're gonna go to 100 million by bootstrapping is a bit longer. It's probably longer than raising money. So you are now the best person knowing because you took the most time into it. While when you raise money, sometimes you go super fast in 1, 2 years, so you don't have barely
Exactly.
experience.
Exactly. Plus, this exactly amazing point. This doesn't give you time to pivot oftentimes. This is
And
why in the bootstrap model you can postpone fixing retention as long as you have high enough growth. And you can postpone fixing a lot of problems that you cannot postpone in the hyper blitz scaling VC system.
yeah,
Plus, there's another huge advantage that obviously everyone who bootstraps their company knows, which is okay. If you get tired, you can just sell it and make retire. Basically, if you are successful enough, you can sell it
yeah.
and then retire. So it's amazing. You cannot sell whenever you want if you're not the sole owner. You have to talk with the other owners, and yeah.
And funnily, often you're not getting way much for like I had a friend, he make a very good startup, like $1 million company, and when he sold it, at the end he has like very few percent left for his own part of the company. So when he
Also
sold, he
that.
make he make basically like less than 1 million on his for himself, and
Wow,
for
that's
all this
less
work,
than,
yeah.
yeah, less than he would have earned as a salary, most likely working
Yeah,
for a good company.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you see other indie makers like they do a project for like 6 months, 8 months, they sell it for 200K, and like if they grow faster or bigger for 1, 2 more years, they will have sold for bigger, and it will be way easier than doing like the VC way for I don't know 6, 7 years, where it's like
It, de-
you kind of dying every day because of the amount
it
of
depends
work.
on your time discounting preference. which is
Yeah.
how much you value things right now versus in the future. So for me, for example, it's around an order of magnitude per decade. So like for me, it's roughly equivalent. I'm roughly indifferent whether I get 1 million today or 10 million in 10 years, or vice versa. If I have the opportunity to get 1 million today instead of 10 million in
Yeah.
10 years, I'm okay with that. So if you know what the value is for you, and it's unique for each person, and that it can differ in time for each person, you can calculate what the annual growth rate of your business has to be in order for it to make sense to sell it or keep it. So in my case, because it's 10x per decade, it works out to 25% per year for 10 years. So if it grows
Okay.
less than 25% per year, I sell it. If it grows more, I keep it.
Okay. That's super clear.
It's actually, it's super clear. I actually like to take a margin, so it's like 50%.
Yeah.
But if it grows by more, as long as it grows by more than 50% a year, it makes sense, given my time discount preference, to keep it. If it grows less, it makes sense to sell it. And I can sell it to
Okay.
someone who has a different time discount preference. So it doesn't mean that
Yes.
just because I sell it, I undersell it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's a very good advice. Thanks for that. I think we can
No
go to
problem.
my my finishing question. If you had the chance to, like, I will manage to do this sentence. Oh no, it's over. It's over. You
Ask,
see, I prepared food like before going the meeting, and I wanted to have time, and I didn't have time. And you
oh
see,
yeah,
now I am
I
like,
can see
I'm
that.
lost. Yes,
Is
I'm
that
like,
a is
I'm
that a
lost.
pizza over there?
Yeah, it's a pizza. It's a pizza.
Oh man, I love pizza.
Yeah. I usually don't eat pizza much, but I don't know. Yesterday I felt like, oh, I could have one. Yeah. So, but anyway, so the question is, what you will wish to know earlier in your journey before you started. Like someone told you something you find like you didn't know that was important.
I'm gonna go back to what I said about indie hacker mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. I think one that I haven't mentioned is zero marketing budget, which is a mistake that I made with Taft as well. It's a temptation, to because you get bragging rights, right? You can say, "Yeah, I launched it with zero marketing." Why would you launch it with zero marketing? Put $500 into it. I'm not saying
Okay.
put $1 million. There's a huge difference between $500 in marketing budget and zero marketing budget. And I don't think it's smart, as long as you believe in your idea and you actually done your homework when you researched it and so on, and you actually validate it a little bit before launching. Uh, then you should have a launch budget, because you get way more traffic if you have some kind of budget, and you get more data and you get to learn faster. So even if you don't have, let's say, a few $100 to launch, you can work on other things, do whatever gig jobs, set aside a few $100s to launch your idea. So I think this is what I would have done, and I think it would have made a difference for a lot of my failed projects, where I always launch them. Yeah, I'm gonna post it on Product Hunt, and I'm gonna ask everyone I know to upvote it, and that's my launch strategy. And post it on Reddit and Hacker News. I think it's better to maybe spend a little bit more time during research and
Mm.
validation, so you have higher conviction. And when you have higher conviction, you will usually want to invest a little bit into marketing. So I think that's one of the mistakes that I won't be making again, hopefully.
Thanks for that. What you will put in the 500 euro budget if you like you were someone starting, like where you will put the 500 euro?
Uh, Listing on different places, including Taft, obviously, if it's an AI app, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
It could be, it depends a lot on what it is. If it's something that works well on Twitter, could be Twitter ads, or could be actually much better than Twitter ads. You can buy a shout out from an influencer. So if it's something that works on
Mm.
TikTok, just give $500 or whatever. It could be $1,000, but it's not going to be $10,000. So let's say
Okay.
$1,000 maximum. Choose the best influencer, and it's usually like a smaller one. So look for influencers with under 10,000 followers, so that they don't have an agency that you have to deal with. They're still doing their own thing. They're just one person, and you can take time. And there are websites that you can use to find the right influencer. Find the right influencer. With influencers, it's a bit more risky because if it doesn't work out in terms of conversions, you don't get residual value, which you get with listings. So if you get listed on directories like Taft, even if your launch doesn't succeed in financial terms, you don't make money during that day. You still get a lot of SEO value. You get distribution forever. You're still there. You're gonna get traffic for the next 5 years. You don't get a lot of residual value with influencers. This is why I don't like doing influencer marketing too much, because it's the type of sales that you have to
It's
keep
one shot.
doing in order. Yeah, and you have it's sales, like the old type of sales that you every month you start from zero. Of course, you can if you do it at scale, but then we're talking huge budgets. It can grow your brand, increase brand awareness, increase brand searches, and everything else have all kinds of secondary effects, but not with one influencer. So that's my advice.
Okay, thanks for that. Do you have maybe a favorite quote before we finish?
No, not.
Even something you repeat yourself often,
I
like
like.
yeah.
I like. I have this, which is from. It says only the brave. It's from. I'm not gonna name the brand, but it's a well-known brand. I like it.
Yeah.
Only the brave.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for that. So now we have two last questions. So one is for you, one is for me. Super easy. So for me first, what's the next person I should invite after you in this podcast?
You have Mark Loeb, right?
Yeah, long ago before he exploded. So maybe I should invite him again.
Okay, then invite Mark again. Did you have levels?
No, not yet. Not
Well,
yet.
then there you go.
If you have a contact, I'm willing to take it. But
Okay,
it's not
I'll
easy
ask
to
him.
reach. Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
okay.
So the next question is for you. Where we should send the makers listening the podcast who want to know more about you?
You can follow me on Twitter. The handle is I make cool sites.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any better ideas, man. I thought about this handle for like a bazillion years, and my Twitter ID completely screwed it up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, I will put it in the
This is all I
description.
had. That's it. I'm sorry.
You're better to take a website domain. But it's nice handle, in fact.
Yeah,
So
it's okay.
thank you for your time. That was super nice to have you in the podcast, in the show.
Glad to be here. All right. Good luck with the podcast, man.
Thanks. And for our listener, if you have enjoyed listening this podcast, you can still send a message to me or to him, to Andrei, like to say thank you. If you have any question, anything, it's always nice to have like some comments of what we did. Check his website. Check there are near for that. Or I don't know to talk anymore. Definitely I need food. And see you next week for the next episode. Bye bye. Thank you.